Hi, this is Michael. This is a report on the debrief that we had today about the course. Got some really good information, and there's going to be some big changes right away. Paolo, this is kind of for you. I'd like to just talk about the changes, and you can decide how you want to proceed. Okay, so these notes are divided into these sections here. There's 10 areas. I know that you've looked at the course a little bit. You've done the first assignment, thank you. And actually, that was already quite important, what you did with the Google Doc. I understand that you did that because you don't want to download all those PDFs. And since they weren't available, that was just a good excuse to put it all in a Google Doc, which is a great idea. I think what I should do is put all the activities into one Google Doc. I mean into one PDF. And people can just transfer that PDF back and forth, because the Google Doc doesn't work very well, but I like the idea of everything in one place. So everything's going to be in one fillable PDF. Also, I'm going to try to get the font bigger in the answer fields for the PDF. So let's just go through the notes. This is also for my own reference, just to refresh my memory. And this is my to-do list for the next version of the course, which I think should be, not more than a week from now. I asked one of the testers just to wait and not do any more. So, Paola, you might want to just wait, because there will be some changes, which I'm going to outline right here. So in terms of the Thinking Dojo School, we talked about that. So we talked about all these things. So there was a suggestion of adding a study skills course, which I actually have a study skills course, funnily enough. I think I'll do that. Not right away, though. The focus is going to be on the logic course until it's really up and running very nicely. We talked a little bit about community, online community, and there being, some possibility of a discussion forum kind of thing of some of the topics, and that it could expand a little bit into kind of a life skills kind of thing, which it already is, because there's the logic. Next course, I'm looking at empathy. Next course after that, we could kind of design skills, and this fourth one, study skills, something like that. So that's good. In terms of the way the technology is used, they like it. It seems like that interface is working well. The video apparently is displaying a little weird depending on the browser. That might have to do with the settings. I'll have to ask the Teachable platform if they've had any problems with that. There's also a suggestion for the PDFs. There's an image of the PDF. I should delete that and just have the link. Okay, in terms of marketing, there's a suggestion to just look into theory of knowledge as a topic, but that's probably more from a marketing point of view. I could reference theory of knowledge. The idea that I should make the case that, what's the point of being able to prove something in your life? And I kind of say that on the sales page, but I don't say it right in the course. The two students that have gone through the course so far, who have done quite a lot of the activities, they're going to give me a reference. They're quite positive about the whole course, which is just great. I really appreciate their help. We talked about actually making a physical certificate that I would mail out to people, or a ribbon, or some, a physical artifact of some kind. Apparently that would be fun and nice to do that. And also the idea of a level 2 for actually presenting an idea. Level 1 would be making the argument for an idea. Level 2 would be actually presenting it, probably in a video. Not sure if level's not quite the right word for that, but a second part. And that's kind of building on the dojo idea that, of belts, like yellow belt, orange belt, green belt, sort of red belt, black belt kind of thing. In terms of the content changes to be made or additions, so a bit more talking about how this applies to life. Just in general, I'm not sure where I put this idea, but in general, we're gonna go with this. This TCI is topic, characteristics, and importance, and that's a model that I've already worked with in a university course. And basically, it's just making a point about something. Actually, it's just you've got a thing that you're talking about. You're saying something about that thing, and then you're saying why that's important. So it's just a very natural way that we talk all the time. Like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm hungry now, and I want to eat something. The topic is how my body feels. The characteristic is there's a feeling of hunger, and the importance is I want to eat. So just a very natural thing. And that actually is kind of where this has been going, but just to make it more obvious and to put it right up front, that's the end goal of this. So it's kind of more of I've been taking a stepwise process, but I think it's nice to have the end in sight, sort of thing, like what's the big picture. And my informants agreed with that idea. Sandy and Johnson, they agreed on that. So we're going to have a project sort of approach. And the project would be something from the student's actual life that they want to think through. Not so much that I would be giving these abstract, made up topics, but actually it would be rather people would think of, come up with a real topic that they want to do a small amount of research, but mostly thinking about and getting it organized. So the kinds of topics could be some kind of investment idea. Maybe somebody wants to buy some stocks. The purchase idea is still a good one. Some kind of project, you want to build something or some other kind of project. A proposal of some kind, or a legal matter of some kind. So all four of these involve making a case for something. So justifying, laying out the argument, and identifying the facts. It's still not like writing a paper. It's still not doing all of the research, but it's just getting it nicely organized. So that's going to be the content and how this applies to life. It'll be more obvious, actually, because it's kind of going to be more like a term paper kind of approach. They like the diagrams and visuals, and they encouraged me to have more diagrams and visuals. They like the personality and humor. They want more of that, and the idea that I could elaborate on the dojo concept, maybe have kind of a ninja theme or a martial arts, to kind of work that up. You use that as a fun and metaphorical thing and a visual thing. Towards the end of the course, I need to make the connection that with writing, because all this actually used to be writing logically. Now it's thinking logically, but definitely the writing is kind of in the background. So I should end the course with making that connection, just that you're actually telling the argument. First, you're thinking the argument through, and then you're telling it in words. That's the writing part. And then finally about the argument with premises and conclusions, just the very important difference between some versus all. So some birds fly versus all birds fly. And verbally it's quite subtle, but the logic is quite different. And actually, I think, Paula, you kind of already alluded to that in one of your comments. On the design side, and this is like the instructional design side, I could separate the rubric in a different document, and that the activity would be done in a Google Doc. And as I just said, though, I think I like doing the activity in a single PowerPoint that a single PDF that people send back and forth. It'd be most efficient for everybody. On the production side, they said the audio isn't very crisp, and I just made an adjustment to my mic, but my throat is also very raspy these days, so I'm trying to get a little bit better sound, but I guess it's tolerably good, but maybe I can improve the sound. Okay, and what we call instructional strategy. So there's a couple ideas to expand the activities a little bit, and the idea is to use kind of a project-based approach, and also to have a couple of multiple choice questions to confirm some of the concepts in the topics. And not so much that there's a random examples, but that some random examples are okay just to get the concept across, because there needs to be a bit more practice. But that the application would actually be in a project. The idea that 5 hours is not realistic, but maybe more like 15 or 20 hours is what the students would need to put in. I hope people are going to want to do that. Groups of 3, rather than the instructor marking it, but that be a peer assessed with groups of 3. And then that the examples could be random. The synthesis, so for the synthesis activity, which I think is the 4th activity, people could actually do some research, and they could quantify how many facts they learned about their topic, because to synthesize you need to have more facts than you actually use, and that's the whole point. You're summarizing, you're picking the ones that you need, so therefore you need more to boil them down. So that could be people actually make a list and then summarize it. And then the idea that I should provide a case study what synthesizing facts means. So I should provide a case, and that it's very important that the synthesis needs to be in the context of an argument. It can't just be random, which is kind of how I presented it, so that wasn't very good. In other words, which facts from that list work in your argument, and why do they work? In other words, how do they relate to the argument? And then I could actually use from some topic characteristic importance examples from my own life, so that I'm walking the walk. Okay, topics. Here's some topics that we came up with. I've already mentioned some of them. Choosing a school, buying a car, learning a new skill, deciding where to live, something about values, and if money were no problem, what occupation? And Paula, if you have any ideas, especially like for different ages or demographics of people, what topics they would like. For example, if you could provide some topics for mid-teens, because Sandy and Johnson are university students. I would guess they're both about, I don't know, 22 or whatever. So that's quite different from what a 15-year-old would be thinking about. So if you have topics, please send them. On the assessment side, the idea, some gamification ideas came in. Actually, it was pretty interesting. So this one idea was, if we're using a peer assessment and they're reading each other's arguments, how do we get them just to not to go, oh, yeah, whatever, looks good, fine, like whatever, and not to pay much attention. So the idea, some gamification ideas that in your own argument, you would actually build in a trick, premise, or a lie that your partner should find. And then, so that, they'd have to read each other's more carefully to find the lie. So there's a good argument, but there's a lie in there, or at least one lie. And that they would identify that the next week, kind of like a crossword puzzle that gives you the answer the next week. So in activity 2, it would give the answer in activity 1 wherever you're telling a lie. And that people would get points for finding the lie. Maybe they get a certificate of the BS sniffer, or, some kind of gamification thing, some kind of points for being able to find the lie. And that if they can't find the lie, then they need to try again, because it's very important actually to be able to find the lie. So they get a couple of chances. And we're thinking that anybody that would be interested in doing this course could do it if they paid attention. So that shouldn't be hard. But the last piece about the activities, yeah, there could be some multiple choice questions, the main activity having a plan, and the peer review. So that's the summary of what we talked about. So very useful. And these are all things I need to integrate into the next version of the course. So if you'd like to just wait a week or so, all of this should be built into the next version of the course. And I just wanted to give you an update. You and anybody else that's interested, and people can still get to me at Thinking Skills Dojo, if I can type this, Thinking Skills Dojo 789 at gmail.com. If people want to get a hold of me, that would be great if they do that. Okay, thanks very much, and we'll talk to you next time.